Hey everybody, this is Rydo and we're back to another live stream of Shadowverse. Today is Friday, June 25th. Okay, for the accountability section, it seems like this week in particular has been mostly a wash. I did record one Left 4 Dead 2 episode, I believe. There's like one more level that I need to play, but mostly I have just been overwhelmed over the course of the past couple days. Playing Shadowverse off screen and just trying to catch up, and B, in a funny way, even though the Amazon Prime Day is over, I'm still beholden to it because now they moved so rapidly with delivering things. I guess we're doing Wonderland Dreams this time, that now I have just kind of a ton of little things, little packages being delivered. I did find one like small thing that because it was in the package, a group of like 3 other small plumbing coupling things for my attempted do-it-yourself irrigation system, or halfway there irrigation system. Halfway there is kind of a great way to describe it, is that I'm doing what arguably is the easy parts, which is the timer, the manifold, the valves, and I'm doing them in a fairly weird way so that they can really hook up to a faucet outside instead of trying to hook up directly into a main line coming into the house. But the real difficult part, and there's, as far as I've researched it, there's just no easy way to do the trenching and laying of the sprinkler heads and the pipes, and so that part has been moved to a phase 3, which could be pushed to a phase 4 even, or just never done at all. And instead I'm just using adapters to hook up to regular old garden hoses and regular old garden hose sprinklers that are above ground. And frankly, that gets me probably, I'd say 92% of the way there either. I have always called it phase 3 without really thinking about what phase 2 is, but I did realize that phase 2 would be to just get a drip irrigation system kit and install that with the above ground sprinkler heads to target the plants that aren't just grass in my yard. That makes... Ooh, we have a couple tickets here. We might as well open them. So yeah, that's a fairly easy system because the drip irrigation would be above ground anyways. So the difference between having a drip irrigation line or zone for an irrigation system that just hooks up to a that is 100% above ground versus one that has a few pipes just from point A to point B buried underground is very little, very little. Plus, those pipes are so small because they're like 1/4 of an inch, whereas real irrigation systems are going to be like 1/2 inch, 3/4 of an inch, or a full inch, as far as the tubing. That it probably isn't that important to bury it or anything like that. Like, I imagine the whole kit is just so cheap anyways. Like, I imagine if there is like real freeze worry, it would be kind of impossible to have a large freeze warrior because the water would just get cold and shoot out the drip irrigation little nozzles anyways. So yeah, that definitely will be phase 2, and that would help some of the shrubberies and things get better watered. But I'm still in phase 1, trying to dry fit everything as far as adapters and try and figure out, is this really going to work? Can I get a good deal on what I now have realized is going to be an 8-zone system with 4 of these zones coming out of a front faucet, 4 of the zones coming out of the back faucet. That's more than enough than what I need. Though, of course, this halfway there do-it-yourself irrigation system only really makes sense in the fact that I already have a lot of above ground hoses and sprinkler heads. If I didn't have any of those, it might have been cheaper to install an irrigation system from day one. That being said, the price is just exorbitant. Like the what I heard quoted from a California pricing, so the pricing is high, is the idea that they charge per zones, and then when they add like a second zone, it's slightly cheaper than the first zone because there's that initial setup cost. But the way those prices differed was not anywhere close. This must not have been the one I just opened, because I'm seeing no new cards at all. Like $12,000 to $2,000 per zone. So 8 zones. You are talking like $10,000, and that's just an insane price for a sprinkler system. Particularly since you know that sprinkler systems are going to run up your water bill and cost you more to have that nice yard. Whereas doing it yourself, it's a massive amount of effort. It's going to be 2 or 3 days of digging. You're going to rent a trencher for probably a weekend or you're going to want to rent a trencher for a weekend, which is probably going to cost like $400. Which renting tools, particularly heavily expensive tools you're only going to use a few times in your life, is expensive, but kind of a great offer too, because then you don't have this expensive like $3,000 trencher, which is what it would cost to own it, that you have no use for. But yeah, if you have a trencher that's gonna a real trencher that can go 8 to 10 inches down into the ground, that's gonna save you a lot of time, but it's still gonna be a lot of hassle. It's gonna be a ton of hassle. You're still gonna need like a boring tool kit to send pipes under driveways or sidewalks, and maybe driveways are just too far in general. We can see we had a decent amount of new cards, so this strategy of opening new cards still seems to be working fairly well. My plan is to use PEX and try my very best to reduce the number of couplings and adapters and different ways you connect to it. I definitely... Oops. I guess I missed a day there. I took too long to start streaming today. Well, then I guess that means we have plenty of time to play the challenge, but we might as well jump into it. But yeah, I don't think Schedule 40 PVC is the way to go, because you need to add like a flexible tail. I don't know if they're calling them snap tails. I heard the word. but I forgot it. But you kind of need to add that to every sprinkler head because the Schedule 40 PVC pipe is just so rigid. And you don't want that to break on you. So that's just like 2 more points of failure, 2 more things that have to be connected. Whereas ideally, you can eliminate at least one of those points of failure by keeping everything as close to PEX, using PEX and keeping everything as simple as possible. There definitely is on the private match Discord forum a huge amount of people that play fairly quickly to the new day, which I guess that doesn't make that shouldn't really surprise anybody because I imagine a lot of people who are playing private matches and Shadowverse in general are Japanese, and they're playing it right when it resets on the Japanese time frame.
I hope you're ready to escort me.
But yeah, I don't think I have too much more new to say. I don't know how much I did say. Like, after Prime Day, I've done a lot of research just to see, okay, this is what Phase 3 would look like. This is what we try and get. I was going to use PEX that is for indoor plumbing, that would be red and blue, because there was just a kit I saw. But I figured what they call polyhose or polytube is probably the same, but it might have more UV blocking chemicals embedded into the rubber. So, and it looks like it is a bit more of a standard issue thing. So I want to not. I'm already doing things weird. I don't want to go too crazy and do a whole bunch of weird things that come back and bite me in the butt. Because the last thing you'd want to do is dig all these trenches and then find out that all of your tubing or all of your couplings were bad, and you have to dig the whole thing up again. But yeah, there's no getting around the idea you're gonna need somebody, or you're gonna have to do a ton of digging, and yeah, that's gonna be a nightmare. Also, tree roots and rocks and hard clay, things like that could certainly turn into nightmare scenarios, and that's why you definitely want to rent a big trenching tool. Even if you were doing just a small little garden, something that was like 10 feet long and 3 feet deep, you could dig that by hand certainly, but you're going to be so exhausted at the end of the day that I don't think you're well suited. It's a good idea to even avoid using a trenching tool. Of course, if it's so small as that, then you may still end up needing to you hand dig most of it anyways. You're gonna need a trenching shovel, because otherwise you're gonna use a regular shovel and dig something that is like 2 or 3 times wider than it needs to be, and there's just no good reason to do that. Okay, so that's all I've been really thinking about. I installed the shower head that I got, shower head kit. My biggest fear there was that I was going to have to take the pipe that was coming out of the wall out, and I was hoping that would be screwed into the wall and not glued into the wall, which would have required a plumber. Turns out the kit is designed to be a lot more like home renovation friendly than that. So actually it just attached to the pipe that was already there. So there was considerably less
Good to see you, my dear
less danger because of that. I did have an extension head on it, and because I had an extension head on it, there was a point where I wanted the screw down screws to line up so that they were all facing outward of the shower. It's a long bathtub side shower. I was kicked for the match. What? That's a weird thing. Well, I guess it doesn't matter. We're gonna try and play Runecraft now. I got whatever. Did I get registered? So using the extension to get the threads to line up, I had to put 2 washers to get a little bit more squish while still having a fairly a good hand tight seal around all the screws. The handheld sprayer had a mount that came with a cheap glue backed piece on it where you would just stick it to the wall. I didn't like that, and it didn't line up correctly. Pro tip, make sure you place that and put it with the shower head in it and not just where you want it. Otherwise you may very well find that the handheld shower head is in the way, which it is in a weird position because the hose basically comes out slightly off center to the left, and the handheld shower head then needs to be slightly off centered to the right to make up for that, so it's not directly in the center, which is what I thought I would want, but it is what you'd want, but there's not really a way to do that with the hose unless the hose is attached to the same pipe and the hose comes down below where the shower handle is, and I did have seen versions of that. But that's not the one that was on sale, and what I got was fine. It took, honestly, about an hour, and it would have probably taken 30 minutes if it weren't for the fact that I'm just gonna skip through all of this because we got a lot to talk about today. Yeah, that I ran into the sticky backed issue for the handheld shower head, and I didn't like it. So then I had to struggle to get the plastic caps off using like guitar pick like spudgers, wedgers, whatever they're called. I just had to basically put pressure on both sides of this plastic cap and wiggle it up, because there's just no way to release it any other way. And after that, then I was able to reveal where the screw holes were for the handheld thing, and then I just screwed the screws into the grout in between tiles. And so now it's nice and tight, screwed into the wall. But I will definitely... You'd always want to be fairly careful about not just jamming a shower head into the holder. I might want to either fix the mixing valve, which I hadn't quite fixed because it has a slight leak, or use what I think it's called a chuck valve or something. A check valve? Check valve, that's what it's called. I might want to install just a check valve in the shower head, because it does drip a lot, and the previous shower head did also drip a lot after showering, because it just kind of created a siphon action. But yeah, I would have potentially also appreciated having another, like, I think the first extension I got was 10 inches, and it definitely was necessary, but unless you just want the rain shower head to actually just be spraying at a 45-degree angle on you, which I didn't want that. But I probably could have appreciated another 10-inch extension valve to get it all the way to the high ceiling. My shower has this weird thing where it's tiled up to about, I'd say maybe 7 feet, probably 6.5 feet, and then there is another like 2.5 feet to a 10-foot roof. And I was thinking I might want to just mount the thing to the roof and stabilize it that way and have it really falling down. But as using what I've got and not spending any extra money, it works fine. When I'm washing my hairs, I'm a fairly tall person, so yes, I could jerk my hands up and go another 3, 4, 5 inches up and bump the rain shower head, but in normal application, as I tested it, it's fine. You're not likely to bump it, and that's just a tall person's problems.
The dawn shines like a beacon of hope.
So, and the mixing valve works. There's a lot of things in the plumbing that I recognized were not done right in the previous person who installed it. And that they used like 2 washers and then they squished them in the middle there. Didn't opt to use the aerator, which maybe is not to city code, but in every instance, particularly for showers, I would recommend not installing the aerator. That just lowers the pressure and makes it a nightmare. The mixing valve lets both the shower head and the rainfall shower head and the handheld shower head spray at the same time. So you're not getting one of those ridiculous systems where there's like 12 different sprays shooting you in 12 different directions. If anything, I found it a little awkward to even have 2 different sprays spraying you in different directions, or to basically have rain always falling on your head, and not being able to really turn it off without just adjusting the mixing valve all the time, which I don't think I would want to do. There is a button on the handheld shower to turn that off, but there's no such button for the rainfall part. But yeah, it looks way better than what was there before, which was just a cheap calcified like handheld plastic thing. But yeah, that was an easy project. Whereas like the exhaust fan and light project, there's a decent possibility that I got that on sale and then it's going to sit for maybe even over 12 months before I get some electrician to install it for me, because yeah, cutting a bigger square in my ceiling is just not what I want to do, and having to drill a 4-inch exhaust hole on the side of the wall is just not something that I want to have to do. I don't think I have a 4-inch diamond drill anyways. So on top of that, I did realize and look, and while it's not on sale now, there is, from the exact same company, I think it's Bowen that I got the exhaust fan from, a light fixture for a infrared light bulb, and that uses considerably less wattage than what the old-fashioned space heaters that I have installed that came with the house that use like 1,000 watts and are just giant resistive coils. I never use those heaters, but infrared also works really good because it just instantly comes on and makes humans feel warm more than just trying to heat the air for no good reason. And the special grow-like controller, for lack of a better term, that I got, that turns on a heater or a humidifier or dehumidifier, in this case the exhaust fan, like that can only give out 10 amps, so it would have squeezed, but it would have been close. I would have had 70 ooh, now that I say it out loud, maybe I was completely off on the numbers and that was a tenfold error. Yeah, the special switch that would turn on a heating bulb and the exhaust fan can only do 10 amps. And I think both would work, but there would be like 70 milliamps to spare, so they would have to be very accurate to their rating and not go over the rating, which they probably do. They probably go far below their actual rating, but you would want to be careful on that. But yeah, I read the instructions on it, and basically you can set the heater to have a off temperature and an on temperature, a start temperature and a stop temperature, which I suppose means you can set it to go one direction or the other. The start temperature could be, say, 60 degrees and the stop temperature could be 75 degrees for a heater. Or if you wanted to hook it up to an air conditioner, you just replace that. Although stopping your air conditioner at 70 and then starting your air conditioner what would be a fan, not an actual air conditioner, at 60 is not the right temperatures. So yeah. But by all depictions, it does seem like the 120 volts going in cannot be merged into two wires. It would create a series path and be dangerous, to say the least. It might double the voltage to 240 in a very dangerous way if you were to tie the two wires together.
I do believe we have a case.
So yeah, I've ended up putting a lot of things for next year's Prime Day sale based on these initial purchases, and I may not wait till next year, just depending on if I can hire an electrician that wants to work for a decent price.
Come get some. Stop!
Is there anything else? Nope. Honestly, yeah, I bought a bunch of home repair and remodel things. Like, no video games, really. I like that is one thing that I realized that's, yeah, probably by next year I need to get a new Xbox 360 / Xbox One controller if it's on sale, because I'll almost certainly have burnt out on my current one at that point.
Rest for the weary.
But yeah,
Time then.
it's also, I guess, worth mentioning that these were projects that I wanted to get done at least 3 years ago, and I've just been putting them off.
May the dark clouds be dispersed.
Alright, well that's enough rambling, as it were, from as far as what I've been messing with. And none of it's video game related, and it's all fairly boring stuff. I will say though, on the showerhead, it is shockingly so much better an experience to have both hands free to wash your hair, which was not the situation that I was in before, because the previous showerhead that was a handheld showerhead that just went into a clip and acted like a standard showerhead was positioned too low for my height. It would work for most people fine, but for my height it was just positioned too low. It would hit me probably in the chin area, like it just not hit my head at all. And I've got back problems and I don't want to bend over to try and wash my hair. So what I was having to do ever since moving into this house, for a very long time, I've had to take the the handheld shower head and hold it over my head while using the other hand to wash my hair, scrub it, and such. And that just became the norm, and I didn't even really realize how much of a frustration point that really could have been. But yeah, now just being able to have both hands free is great. With the slight trade-off now that there's a diminished area in which you can now walk to one corner of the shower to not have the rain head dropping water on you, which I imagine I'll probably get used to it fairly quickly, and it'll just become the new normal, that you're just always gonna have water dripping on your head.
How fragile. I never get a chance to speak.
March on!
Okay, and the other thing to connect this conversation
Call on me again.
is because Amazon moved Prime Day probably into a good position. They've now set themselves up where pretty much 2 days, 1 day after Prime Day, the Steam Summer Sale happened.
This one's
So
for you.
we've got the Steam Summer Sale here, and that's what I need to deal with. So we'll try and cover the news later, but I think I'm going to leave pretty much all the games completely that came out completely for Monday. Let's see. Forge Your Fate stories. 14 all new Forge Your Fate studios. Thousands of games on sale. It's happening between June 24th and July 8th, so I've got some time. I want to point out how this is just completely black at this point. They are slowly shifting Steam's background color from the bright blue that it clearly once was into a darker black, and they're trying to get people to not realize it. Honestly, it's a better move. It's not just solid black though. There is clearly a anti-aliasing kind of wood grain maybe pattern that is going here. It feels kind of vertical, like boards of blackness, so that there's a little color to it, but it definitely is black.
Let us speak with more than words. Let us speak with more than words.
Here I go.
Let's see.
You've breathed your last.
It is.
Don't look so disappointed.
It is.
Your last.
Did you like it?
So they're doing a big thing here where, like, you've got 3 top hit things in Outriders, and then it pops up and still showing blue here. Borderlands, Outriders, and Hunt Showdown. And then you have a Forge Your Fate and Browse Summer Specials by genre or theme. which first one up here, unless is not alphabetical, but it's anime. So is this because I look at a ton of anime games, because I look at every game that comes out, or does everybody have anime in the number one slot, or is it randomized, is the question.
Today we'll
So-
do some heavy scriptures.
If I was to, say, open this in a new tab, and then open adventure in a new tab, and then see if we can click this. We'll see, we'll go action and RPG and mysteries and detectives, and then what's the third group? Roguelike. Okay, and guess I like sci-fi. Let's see what this is.
Put your legs into each prayer.
Anime here
Look back,
straight up is its own landing page,
my dear.
with Catherine Classic being on sale for $7.59, which is a pretty great deal. And then it's telling me specifically these games are discounted on my wish list, which this may very well change how I shop this time, because if everything is just on is being presented that's on my wish list under specific categories, here the super popular already purchased game Mirror is 79 cents, that goes on deep discount, pretty much it. And then you get back down to what are the kind of standard experiences, where it's a more vertical depiction. Do I own Dragon Ball Z Fighter Z? I thought I did, but there might be some there very well might be some DLC I don't own. So what does it mean? Click here to continue your story. Feel like I am not actually being forced to do anything there. Yeah. If anything, it feels like, let's count this number. There was 4 here, 5 here, and 5 here. Which does mean that there's just straight up a
Crystals of snow shimmer in the
story
night.
for each of these. Now, what we really want to know
Don't look so
here
disappointed.
is,
Let us
what do you
conclude.
get for all this?
Your kiss will awaken
Click
me.
here to continue the story.
Crystals of snow shimmer in the night.
Okay, so it's a choose your own adventure thing.
Oh yeah, here's where I shine.
Once you slide out at all, turning up glider named Dracana, the truth, you're actually the last living descendant of an ancient alien bloodline. It's your responsibility to stop vile machinations as Black Lotus Ninja Clan. This is like every anime game merged together. After 200 episodes, several spin-offs, and an arch enemy who ended up being a long-lost mind-controlled sister, you finally tracked down the leader of the evil ninja cult you vowed to destroy back in episode 3 for some reason. What kind of hero will you be? Choose your ending wisely, like a bell. This can't be unrun. So do we want to unleash our ultimate attack, turn to page 23, or do we want to appeal to his humanity, turn to page 42? Let's go ultimate attack. You unlock the Oblivion Technique, which is a sticker. Energies roll around you as you focus your chi and prepare to unleash a devastating final attack. Forbidden technology is still, but technically still legal. Oblivion Technique minutes to turn hours, and you miss your rent payment. Seasons change. You're evicted. Your niece graduates from middle school, then high school. Finally, you're ready to unleash a devastating blow. From the trained half your life to master unfortunate, your arch rival walked out of the line of fire from your Oblivion Technique several years ago and now owns 4 auto zones in Tampa. He and his wife and 3 adorable kids send you a card every Christmas, which you never receive because you're still here preparing to fight him. If you decide to continue your journey, you'll forge your fate. Turn to Forge Your Fate page to select another genre featured there. Okay. So, seems like what they did here is they had somebody. This is gonna kill me. It seems like somebody at Valve had was a writer and had the job of being a writer, and they didn't have any game for them to write about, so they had them write this instead. So this is a Forge Your Fate page. All items must be claimed.
Enemy or no.
Okay. So you go through each of these, and there's probably 2 stickers in total around this that you get. And these are probably not tradable stickers or anything like that. So you just would go under that group. So to my mind, that means I can do this all off screen. It is just going to be ridiculous narration and story writing. Yeah, I do own Dragon Ball FighterZ. So I could get like Season Pass 3 for $10. And I think I already own
To arms! There's a battle underway!
This fire burns for my
Fighters
friends.
Pass 1. I guess I don't have Fighters Pass 2, which would be $12.49. So, yeah, if I was just looking to waste much money. Of course, the problem now is having spent so much on the Amazon Prime Day sale, I'm not sure I'm spending any money at all on video games. So me looking at the summer sale itself may not really, I am going to come from it from kind of a more conservative position, which really sucks because at this point, I've been fairly conservative with the Steam sales for probably a year plus now. I've not been really buying a lot. Not that I really am tearing through the backlog of games anyways, but yeah. Sometimes I guess it comes down to you have to check yourself and ask yourself, are you enjoying things because you're purchasing them, or are you enjoying games because you're actually playing them? And so you want to keep that in mind too. Because I honestly think I could say sometimes I do just get that adrenaline rush of purchasing things more than actually getting around to play it.
The dawn shines like a beacon of
I
hope.
shall watch over you.
Let's see. Then we have like the adventure and casual section where you have Shadowverse, but I mean Shadow of the Tomb Raider, not Shadowverse. I'm playing Shadowverse. Spyro and Gris. See, that feels like that's slightly different presentation here. Honestly, it looks like all these games. Little Misfortune for $10 is not a terrible price. I doubt that game is going to get much cheaper for a while. Yeah, so it seems like you cycle through these, and these are not all games that would fall under adventure and casual. Let's see. Darksiders 3 for $14.99. That's definitely one to get. At that price, Bloodstain for $19.99 might be as good as you get. And then it's once again just showing you what's on your wish list, and I suppose since my wish list is fairly long, this could go on forever, but it's not. It's only giving you 3, so it really isn't worth it to shop this way. And what you really would want to see is new things. So this section here, where there's a potential for new things. Shadow of War for $7.49 is a good price. And then getting down to this point is probably not really worth looking at. Because at a certain point you're just looking fairly desperately for something that's unlikely to show up.
The legend begins.
I shall watch over you. Did you want it?
March on!
Dawn always prevails over dawn is upon us.
Let's see. Next we have the action section, which again is just high. There clearly is the paid promotion as far as this top above the line advertisement, and then there's games that are probably getting slightly promoted here. This really is highlighting how the tagging system is a little bit crazy. The Vampire the Masquerade Bloodlines would be considered an action game. I mean, I guess it has action in it, but I would think it would be more of a RPG game. But I guess that's what you're looking for here is advertisement. Code Vein coming out of $14.99. That might be the best you can get from that, depending on if you're getting an Ultimate Edition or not. And I think that's exactly what's going to be the problem with a lot of this stuff, is that it is going to be, do you get the full Ultimate Edition of a game for $15, or you back up to $60 or $70? Horizon Zero Dawn at $30 is not much of a discount, whereas Resident Evil for $9.89 makes for a great idea. There might be some DLC on Dying Light that I don't have, but it's giving me trouble as far as trying to open links in a new tab. And it seems like you can just click more, click more, click more for quite a while. There's definitely a issue
They don't call me the
around
sovereign for nothing.
the fact that there's
The battle.
not really a lot of new games in the past year plus, and there never really is. Even if there wasn't a pandemic, you're not going to be able to come to a Steam sale and own and find hundreds upon hundreds of new games that have just been released in the past couple of years. The initial Steam sale, if you're getting into PC gaming, will be great, but every year after that there's going to be diminishing opportunities to play old and new games combined, as you've already purchased a bunch.
Like back in the old days.
Yep, according to the Dying Light Ultimate DLC collection, I am missing quite a bit of DLC that maybe really doesn't matter that much. But in total, to complete the collection, I'd need like $20.59, and that just seems like a bad way to spend money, certainly. And then we have role playing, which, yeah, don't feel like these are really offering much of anything. Like, it really does seem like it is per these categories, which are focused on these categories, that they seem to be just kind of showing the same things over and over again a little too much. And we've yet to hear a hook as far as what's the deal with this summer sale. Is there trading cards? Are there badges? Is that just completely dead and gone now for the point shop concept, which is where we knew they were going? If there's no trading cards, is there really a great advantage to buying a lot of games, or should you just be buying? You probably always should have just been buying things you were really, really interested into it. We'll have to look at my wish list in particular just to see how many games are really deeply discounted and how many are just 50% off, 60% off. Typically, I want to see 75% off or higher. I will say, compared to like Amazon.com lightning sales, there's seemingly very less price manipulation to make things look like they're cheaper than they were. Even Amazon.com was highlighting the idea of the lowest price in 30 days as a concept, but the lowest price in 30 days is not really a metric that you would want to use. You would want to ideally see the lowest price ever, or the lowest price in at least 6 months, if not a year. Because it is fairly easy for anybody to have raised the price a month early and then on the 31st day put it back to its regular price and make it look like it's on sale. Particularly if you're manipulating the months that things are on sale so that it's one of the months where people are generally not spending a lot of money. It'd be fairly easy to raise the price in September, for instance, and then lower the price by Black Friday and make it look like the lowest price in 30 days. Let's see. Next we have Mystery and Detective, which slightly different selection here. I'd want to once again just see like the DLC for Cluedo. Clue.
There's a battle underway.
Want to see if that might be on discount. Journey at $7.49, maybe a little bit at best you get. Same could be said for The Witness at $10 or Oberdin. Those are kind of picky indie games that tend not to go on sale, but yeah, Layers of Fear 2 for $4.99 might be worth it, but I think I'll probably find fairly quickly it isn't. So yeah, Battleship and that. No, we just want the season pass. Yeah, the season pass is $17.49, 50% off, just still ridiculously expensive. Whereas for $9.08 you get the whole game of Battleship and the Game of Life 2. Or $6.29 to get Carcassonne. I didn't realize I didn't own that. Yeah, $6 for the initial Clue game, and then a considerably large amount of content that's missing. Hasbro kind of screws you over as far as how that works. Which, at a certain point, that is just giving money to Hasbro and supporting their bad business practices. It's probably not something you would really want to do. Then we have Roguelike, which Hades, super popular, but it's probably not at that discount as a YouTube content creator. Not high priority now because people have been talking about Hades, or they talked about Hades for about a year straight when it came out. And so now that it's finally come to Steam, it's kind of out of the public venue, so I don't know why you pay premium. You can get FTL on this account for $2.49. That might be a decent move. I don't know if there's been any new update to FTL since I played it back when I started my channel many years ago. And that's basically buying the game twice, though. And so I think there's probably
Here I go.
higher priorities, and that's why I haven't done it before. Crypto the Necrodancer, I'm still not sure I really would want to play that game, but $3 is definitely a decent price. Again, that's probably a game that has some DLC. I need a plugin that will tell me the real price of games. Rebirth is not Afterbirth as far as Binding of Isaac, so that's a older expansion that you probably at this point wouldn't really want to play. Repentance, same thing. It's like Binding of Isaac being one of those games that's just constantly it has had a lot of adaptations and updates that, like, now there are 3 or 4 different updates that change things that I don't think there's even a historical reason why you'd want to play the old versions. You just want to play the newest versions because they're, I would say, probably 80% similar, and the newest version of Afterbirth, which is allegedly the final version, is from what I can tell the best version of the game. You also, I think, have a very different experience for people that were actually playing Isaac every time there was a new expansion, where they were just updating their save files, versus people who would have to start from scratch over. And I really have to question how far I'd actually get in Afterbirth as far as progressing through the unlocks, or how far a new player would get, and I would pretty much just consider myself a new player at this point. Then we have Sci-Fi and Cyberpunk. I haven't heard of this game, Whispers of a Machine. Interesting. We found one game so far that shocked me. Here you go. Judge Dredd. That's a good one for $1.99. Alien vs. Predator for $1.24. Warhammer for $3.24. These Warhammer games may not be... Well, nope, these are overwhelmingly positive. Suppose it is worth mentioning, we haven't really made a huge amount Among Us for $4. I'd say get it now if you're ever going to play Among Us, because it's probably not going to be a relevant game in a year or two. There will just be some new fad that comes out.
Here to bring evil to justice.
March on!
I shall protect everyone.
Let's see.
The battlefield, my dear.
Prepare yourself.
The dance ends.
Yeah!
Let's see, what else do we have? Sorry, I went quiet there.
Ready yourself.
Yep. I'm not really pouring a lot of time and effort into looking at these, but yeah, this is on my wish list. So I had seen it.
My spear will stop you.
But yeah, there's some things that I wouldn't have immediately thought of. And getting these games from Rebellion cheap wouldn't be a bad idea. this Rebellion Anthology bundle? I guess the question would be. Let's see. $1.99, $1.69. There's a decent amount of old games here. Wolfie for $3.39. I want to play this game, but it's an unfinished game, so you have to be fairly careful about it. Then a bunch of Sniper Elite DLC that you could probably skip over, particularly if you're not going to play the Sniper Elite games. So you probably would want to hunt and pick games in this bundle, get the ones you want, and then maybe at some point in the distant future complete your collection later. You can see that honestly there's a lot less games here than I actually have on my wish list.
Don't mind if I do.
Hit that.
Well, on to the next project.
Love that.
One step closer to victory.
Let's see. Next we have Survival, which is just back to Shadow of the Tomb Raider. They really want me to get Shadow of the Tomb Raider, which is, in all fairness, I really should get Shadow of the Tomb Raider because I've played the other two. And then you have like Far Cry games that are only 70% off, but $3 is a probably decent price for Far Cry. Manhunt. Let's see if we see anything else here that jumps out to my attention. No, not really. And then we have strategy, which, yeah. Persona 4 Golden for $12.99. I assume this is the only Persona 4 that's going to be on Steam. So this is probably the best price you're going to get
Even if I'm scrap,
for
I can still
quite a
fight.
while, if ever. Like, because it's already fairly discounted at $20 for a Japanese RPG, and the price point of going below $10 I think is something they would just never really want to do. Like, although I could definitely be wrong, we might see in a year or two the Persona 4 Golden selling for $5. They'd probably be up to Persona 5 or 6 at that point, and that would be the reason that they would put it on sale that much. But Japanese tend not to like to put their games on deep discounts or on sale at all if they can get away with it. Space. I'm hoping I've actually looked at each category and I didn't skip over a category. Lego Star Wars 2 for $4.99 or Lego Star Wars 3 for $4.99. Not a terrible price, although Lego Star Wars 3 is kind of the bad one of the Lego Star Wars games. Dead Space 1 for $4.99 is a good time to get this with the rumors of the revival, kind of soft reboot of Dead Space. It would make a lot of sense to just introduce a new character instead of Isaac in
Weapons to end
the Dead Space universe. Just a new character that you play as who is at a different area, a different place where a different ship has been infected by monsters. You may not even want them to be the same group of monsters for all the craziness that happened there. You could also say that the entire trilogy of Dead Space, original trilogy, was half delusion in the mind of Isaac, so it doesn't have to canonically connect to some of the weirder aspects of the previous series.
With more than words. You've breathed your last.
Don't mess with the maid.
Like the
Understand
thing
now?
that I think you have to have in a Dead Space game is it's gotta have the Cronenberg-esque humans turned into necromorph type characters. You've got to have the unique selection of weapons and the horror aspect. And you've got to have strategic dismemberment.
Let clouds be dispersed.
But otherwise, you can
Understand now?
have make the game fairly similar to like you can make it fairly similar to the to any standard zombie shooter game. Here we have sports and racing, which it's interesting that you wouldn't call racing a sport, but maybe a lot of people wouldn't think that. I guess I wouldn't really think that. If somebody said, hey, let's go do some sports, and then they said we were going to race cars, I'd be like, oh, I guess that's maybe a sport. But then you have an interesting situation here where racing includes GTA games. Wouldn't be a terrible thought to get all the old GTA games. Let's open that in a new tab and just see what GTA 3, if it really costs. $3.50 to get all of it, great deal. $3.50 to get the base game, and then have to buy a whole bunch of DLC, a much less good deal. Let's see. Although typically, since I don't play racing games, a lot of these are not looking great. Far Cry 5 at 85% off is not a bad deal. Titanfall 2 at 80% off, not a bad deal.
Well, aren't you something? Well, aren't you something?
Alright, so here's GTA 3, which I almost wish GTA had stuck with this art style for its like logos, and the game itself had looked that way instead of pushing forward with the 3D realistic graphics. Like if you could skin this guy to be in this art style and the whole world looked in that art style, that would be a different experience. Yeah. So you get apparently all 3 games in a bundle for $8.99 as far as GTA 3, San Andreas, and Vice City. And let's see, San Andreas seems to have no DLC. And Vice City. Yeah, so that is a decent deal, I would say. 3 historically relevant GTA games. Not GTA 1 or 2, which clearly need to come out, and it would be not super surprising if GTA 1 and 2 came out and they made a bundle of the like original 4 or 5 GTA games, but also wouldn't be surprised if that didn't happen. Far Cry 5 is $8.99, but then when you get to the Gold Edition, you're at $17.99, 80% off, but the price is marked up to $90 by default, and then, or you could spend $100 and get the Far Cry 5 and New Dawn Deluxe Edition, or really you would have to get the $130 edition here, which is the Far Cry Gold Edition and Far Cry New Dawn Deluxe Edition. Or if you were to just get the standard game for $8.99 and then you were to get the season pass, it would still be $7.49, which might actually be slightly cheaper than buying the gold edition, but I wouldn't be surprised if there's something in the gold edition that is not in the season pass. Yeah, there is more. There's a deluxe pack, which is $2.49. So there is a slight saving in buying the gold edition versus buying the deluxe pack in the season pass. But if you have a game that has a metric like this, that is a highlight of a problem of too much DLC, for sure.
All right, troops, get ready for war.
Evil to justice.
Let's see. Titanfall 2 here.
100 pardons.
Is it really Ultimate Edition $5.99 with then a deluxe edition merging in this bundle of Titanfall for $4.99? So that is a decent deal for $8.78 to get 2 Titanfall games. Let's see, looking at simulation, Bridge Constructor Portal being highlighted, then more GTA stuff, Liberty City $5.99, Honey Pop Double Date on sale 20% off, which is not a lot. Let's make sure I have all of the DLC for Slime Rancher. Yeah, I think I kind of dropped the ball as far as getting games with DLC. So there is, I think, a few games out there that do have some missing DLC on my that I need to get.
How fragile.
A fine battle.
I wish I'd win here, but I can't really complain that I'm not playing because I'm not paying any attention at all.
Enemy or no?
Yeah,
You did good.
the secret style pack, the original soundtrack, and the original soundtrack 2. So the only one I'd really want to get is the secret style pack, which the base game is $5.99, and oh, I didn't realize it had a VR element to it. So probably need to just get this free one while it's free. That's a hard thing to potentially purchase too. I don't know if this actually adds any gameplay content either. No, it really doesn't. Yeah, it's just a purely cosmetic thing. So, yeah, it would have to be very much on sale for me to care about that. There's the Galactic Bundle. I'll just go ahead and click that. So 5 losses in this final round, which is fine. Gets me 30 gold. And I'm just gonna straight up know that I'm not gonna really pay attention, so let's just click here. And I think this is a runecraft. Yep. So we'll basically ignore the games completely and see if we can get some quick disconnects, which don't come very often in Shadowverse. Finally, we have Open World. Hitman 2, interesting thought. The Hitman reboot series, starting with like Hitman 1. Metro Exodus for 70% off. Raft for $13.39. I assume that's the entire game, not just the renovation update. Jump Force. I think Jump Force isn't really reviewed particularly well. Dragon Ball Z Kakarot for $20 is probably the best deal you're gonna get. A lot of these games are just never gonna really be cheap. Like Shinobi Strikers here's a decent thought at $4.99, but I bet there's just a whole bunch of DLC around that also. Here we can see Horizon Zero Dawn Complete Edition is actually $29.99, which kind of kills that idea also. Got disconnected. My quality of service, it's working, I think, at this point, so I don't want to really tweak it. And as such, like, I've only had one point in which the network had severe slowdowns or problems, and I can definitely chalk that up to just my internet service provider. So I can say it does seem like Shadowverse sometimes has a little bit of trouble, but that's about it. Like, it feels like trying to fix that would just cause more problems at this point, and I'm just frankly tired of trying to implement a more complicated quality of service setup on my router when it just leads to frustration and just an overly complicated system. So I guess we're just gonna stick with the keep it simple stupid idea. So Hitman 2
Fighting and despair all you know?
Gold Edition would be $24.99, which seems like that's fairly expensive, and that includes Expansion Pass 1 and I guess the real question I'd want to know is, can we get to Hitman 1? Let's see what Hitman 1 as far as the reboot. Game of the Year edition for $14.70 $71 is probably a decent deal. Or you could get the Essentials collection, which seems like it's a slightly cheaper bundle. Hitman Game of the Year, Hitman Absolution, and Hitman Blood Money. Cheaper because I already own Blood Money and Absolution. So yeah, 83% for Hitman 1 in that form is not a bad idea. Raft is still early access, $13.39. And I feel like it's probably more of a multiplayer game than a single player game. Like, Raft is definitely one of these games where I think I only really want to play it once it's completely done. And because it's never going to be completely done, I'll never play it. And even if they did make it completely done and just stopped adding content to it, there's probably a question of relevancy at that point, whether anybody else cares about it or is still playing it. Here we have Jump Force, which is mostly positive. I don't think I'd really want to get Jump Force right now, though. Because the Ultimate Edition, $19.99 is not a terrible price, but it had been reviewed fairly poorly before. Maybe they fixed the stuttering and the gameplay problems that I think it had. So I guess I have to put that back on the following list, but honestly, something making it to the falling list is a far cry from something making it to the shopping list during a sale. Naruto to Boruto Shinobi Strikers was $4.99. But then the deluxe edition is $7.99. But 90% off is not a bad price. I guess you have to be careful, of course, here. The difference is, are you looking at the percentage or are you looking at the actual price? Because this may not be a game that you really even want at $7.99. It is very arguable that Naruto has stopped being a popular game, and it definitely is an argument that
Not when I have my words.
you're just better off buying more DLC for the Dragon Ball Z series instead of buying the Naruto games. And then, yeah, Horizon Zero Dawn is very positive, but the only edition, which is labeled the complete edition here, is still $30. So that's fairly expensive. I'd love if somebody like gifted me it and then I'd play it immediately and get it out as quickly as possible, but barring that act of charity, I just don't think I am highly likely to invest the extra money to play a more modern game like that. Instead, I'd prefer to just wait for more of a discount. So here's the right way to shop during a sale. We sort on you go to your wish list, and then you sort by discount first. And I think in this case, it probably makes a little bit of sense to bring this down. I think we'll just leave it at 100%, which is really only going to show 3 things on screen at a time. So you have to be kind of careful. You have like Line Rider here, which is 49 cents. So I'm not Line Rider, Typewriter. But then you also have DLC, which is only 51% discounted, and yet it is down to 49 cents, which I think 49 cents is the minimum you can charge before Steam just says, just make it free. May very well have this game, so this DLC for 49 cents might be a smart move. Here, I'm not really recognizing a lot of these games though, too, so 49 cents games that you don't recognize may not really be a good offer. Here we're up to 59 cents, but 90% discounted. See, that's why you would want really a secondary sort, where one assumes that once everything is 90% discounted, it is alphabetical, but I don't know if that actually is the case. Whereas I would like it to be sort by filter 1 of discounts, and then in the subcategory of that group, sort by filter 2 of the actual price. And maybe that's just too much SQL programming for most people for Steam to implement something like that, where that'd be either confusing or a financially negative action for Steam, or just a complicated server load issue. Here's a game that looks like it's $1.
The world called, and I
But yeah.
answered.
I guess you're looking for a fight.
What I generally want to do when I shop, and I probably shown this multiple times, every time there's a sale, is start with the discounts, start with the things that you really don't recognize. That's a good point to like say, hey, is this something I even really care about, or am I just thinking about buying it because it's cheap? And then what you want to do is go with your priority sort, which is to say you want to see the games that you've manually put at rank 1, or in my case about the top 100, 200, maybe 300 games that have been manually ordered, because those are games I actually know and recognize and actually want to play. Like full clip edition here, Bulletstorm for $3.99. A decent price, but it should still have been free for previous owners. The Sims 4 for $4.79 might be an idea, but how much DLC are you really gonna get on that is the question. Like, you may quickly have to buy an Ultimate Edition that bumps it up to well over $80 for something like The Sims. Let's see. So I'm trying to look at the names of the games and not look at the prices. We're getting down to 85%, and remember I said 75% really is where you stop considering games. Like, because if something is just 75% off and you don't even really want to play it, see if this is rated very positively. Always looking for a girl game. Then that is something to consider. Is like, don't even bother having it on the wish list in the first place at that point if you're just wanting to play it because it's, or wanting to own it because it's cheap. And 85% off may not really mean anything in a lot of cases, because you still may be spending $4 or $5. Like, the percentage does not determine the actual cost. Like this Little Witch Academia Chamber of Time, $6. Still fairly expensive even at that. Shadow of War, though, I do want to play that. Not sure I want to get into the Tales series yet. Not sure I want to get into the God series, or the Dot Hack series, or the Sniper Elite series. We Happy Few for $8.99? Not really. I think a good pick. A lot of the sale certainly is also going to come down to just how do you feel at the time. What's interesting here is we're starting to see 84% off, 83% off. That does seem like that is a fairly odd choice. Like, people trying to make that extra percentage in sales. Bejeweled Deluxe 1 and 2 and Feeding Frenzy. Yeah, probably a lot of these games would be things to consider for just $1. Let's see. Receiver for 99 cents. Probably not a bad choice. This game. So what you would want to go through is look at these cheap games, put them on the wish list, and then don't put them on the wish list, put them in the shopping cart this time. And then once you start building up your shopping cart to about $300 or more, you could go even double that, then you start taking things back off the shopping cart and removing them. This game looks a lot like Double Fine. Interesting. Is that a Double Fine game, I wonder? We know the devil visual novel.
Your beauty is terrible to behold.
A lot of these are the same old games that I've had on my wish list for 4 or 5 years. And this past year, as far as making video game content and playing video games, hasn't been particularly great. It seems like maybe the last 3 or 4 years, every year it is just I'm a little bit more tired. I have a little bit less attention and energy to play games, and so yeah, I feel like I'm slowing down a little bit every year, which that definitely creates the argument to buy less and less games until you do catch up or die of old age, whichever happens first. Again, not really playing Shadowverse here, so you're not missing any content at all by me not swinging back and forth. Shadowgate for $2.99. Get Witcher 3 on Steam instead of having it on Good Old Games.
The world
Would be nice, and getting the DLC would be nice. Did this game ever finish? Is this the game I'm thinking of? A lot of these games I just know. I thought I owned this game. Like I've seen them over the years now so often. It's like, yeah, I know what these games are. And no, they just are never really standout, interesting experiences. So, or they're never discounted down enough to catch my attention. Duke Nukem Forever for $4.99. That is always going to be a hard purchase. I heard someone say Skullgirls is kind of a great starter intro fighting game to potentially try. Interesting, this isn't discounted at all, and yet it just shows up in the middle of the 80% discounts. Yeah, Steven Saucer's Roll is 80% off, but it's always so incredibly marked up that even 80% off, it's $6 for what is a very good, overwhelmingly positive puzzle game, but a very expensive game. Whereas Far Cry Primal would make a lot more sense as far as games to consider. Leisure Suit Larry for $5.99 or Asterix and Obelix for $5.99. Those are both kind of hard purchases. Witcher 3 Ultimate Edition probably is about $10 to $15. Dragon Age Inquisition Ultimate Edition probably is more than $8. I don't think I'd ever really play the Battlefield games. I'm going to keep them on the wish list, but there's a very high chance that would never happen. SNK Heroines is probably the wrong fighting game to start with down the series. Assassin's Creed Origins is $11.99, but the Ultimate Edition I bet brings it back up to nearly $60. And I'm gonna just have to assume that in this case, because I'm trying to effectively speed up this process. I could get more Sudoku games from basically the one people that make them. I probably wouldn't want to get Warhammer 40k stuff, though. Let's see, now we're at the 75% discounted price. And we've seen not really a lot of interesting things on sale. Let's see. That puzzle game. Let's see. And we probably will see a decent amount of things that are marked as 75% off. But
I'll face you head on.
nothing particularly super interesting. So this might lead to this being a fairly easy shopping experience, and I'm definitely going to have to do a lot of shopping still off screen after today's stream, because I'm just going to have to think about things, I think. But so far this is looking fairly easy. Like, it really does feel like this.
Resplendent Phoenix graces you with
There's
hand
not a lot of
graces.
deeply discounted games.
Let the land be graced by beauty.
They did stop having time rifters, or time clickers, I believe is the game. Spin-off of this. I stopped running that in the background of my computer after several years. As a joke, like, I was just not putting enough time and attention to reset the automated runs, and because I was not automating the resetting the automated runs, the whole, I wasn't making any progress towards the final achievement on it, which is what I was trying to go for. There's just a lot of nothing to say about a lot of these games. Here you have I Am Bread, which is 75% off, but it's still $324, where you'd think that would be closer to $250. I covered the first one of that, so that would be one that I would want to get, is Death Spanx Thongs of Virtue. I'd want to get that. I don't have Braid on this account, but also I don't really have any real reason to want to pay Braid once again, even $3.74. Yeah. What we don't have here, and we need to go back to the stream main page and check this, is we don't have any motivating factor to buy games right now. Shadowhand for $3.74 is a decent price. It is a solitaire game with some RPG elements, but it's been way overpriced in the past, and $3.74 is still maybe a little expensive, but way more realistic. But yeah, if there aren't any trading cards, and there barely was an argument even for trading cards, because those were things that you would get and maybe sell for a few pennies, or you would turn into a badge that then let you level up, that then let you have more friends, which I already have a ridiculous amount of open slots for friends. Oh, I do want Trine 2. That's a good thought. Batman Arkham Origins, it's a good thought. One of the Scribblenauts games is a good thought. Of course, then I'd also have to figure out Arkham Origins Blackgate Edition, Arkham Origins Blackgate Deluxe Edition, whether those are different games or not. No quick disconnects on Shadowverse so far. Metro 2033, Metro Last Light, Metal Gear Solid, Resident Evil Remake. That's a thought, certainly. Ginny LeClue, Detective Rue, Resident Evil 0 might work. I don't really want to play Shards of Darkness, Styx Shards of Darkness, but at some point I might run out of other things to purchase. Not sure I really want to justify buying the definitive edition of Dead Island. Or Riptide, which I've never played Riptide. I don't think. I'd have to investigate that. A lot of these are just like $5. Like decent prices for games, certainly, but not big big discounts. Whereas the Simran Kagura game, yeah, $5 for that's a decent price. Disney games for $5 is a decent price. I'm still trying to get the Blob. Don't ever get around to actually buying it. Played Strangers as a fighting game. I don't think I'd be playing a Yakuza game anytime soon. A racing game for $5 is probably not a terrible thought. Although I don't know how many racing games I really need to play. The Raven might be worth it. I don't know if Sunset Overdrive is even relevant anymore. Age of Empires for $5 is not a bad idea. Castlevania Anniversary Collections, maybe not a bad idea. Contra Anniversary Collections, not a bad idea. Battlefront Trine 3. Yeah, Trine 3 is 75% off, and then at that point you jump down to 70%, and then you kind of quickly jump down to 60%, then you're back up to 75%, which a lot of that seems like that is just all over the place. Street Fighter 4 or Ultra Street Fighter 4 for $7.49. That probably has a bunch of DLC that bumps it up, whereas Dragon Age Origins for $7.49 maybe makes some more sense. I guess I don't own Killing Floor 2. I don't know if I really want to spend $7.50 to play it just to say, oh yeah, this is what Left 4 Dead 2 and Back 4 Blood should have been. And I don't even know what the case with Back 4 Blood will be because that game isn't out. Do I need a Sherlock Holmes game, or would I prefer a Rayman game? Do I want to play Watch Dogs? Probably not. Do I want Assassin's Creed Syndicate? Hand of Fate 2. Maybe like the best price you're gonna get for Hand of Fate for a while. And then Trine 4 is 75% off. Crisis 3 makes an argument to get all the Crisis games, which I should play Crisis games. I've never played them. Dark Souls 2 for $10. Probably not worth my time. Indivisible, I guess, is still on sale. There's like controversy around it. Only Tron Bar seems to always go on sale. Quantum Break, Killer Instinct, a lot of these games kind of always go on sale. And they're always the same price, and that kind of consistency. Kerbal Space Program on this platform, this profile for $10 is not a terrible price. Plague Tale Innocence for $11.24. We just had the sequel to this announced, so now would be a great time to buy that and play it. Darksiders 3 was a consideration. Code Vein was a consideration. I don't think One Piece 75% off to $14.99
You're done for.
is cheap enough. Assassin's Creed Odyssey is at 70% off. Not quite 75%. I think at that point we are actually sorting to below the 70%, the 75% mark, and it wouldn't really be worth your time to scroll through your wish list any further than that. So then I guess if you were desperate, you would sort by price, because you may find something that is not discounted at all. A lot of these games I think are just straight up free, or they have a free demo. And I think maybe Steam is trying to push people from being able to label their game as free because it's episode 1 is free or a demo is free, and they're trying to have more separate prologue experiences. I don't know if that's better or worse, frankly, as a system. I suppose it is better. The idea to force them to put their demos as separate products, they get separate reviews and ratings and get a different page listing, instead of them being able to bundle a demo and a game as one single property. See, I'm still just like scrolling past all the what I think are all free games to see the ones that have actual prices. They say play now, one assumes that that means they're free. And it definitely feels like my free list of free games to check out has grown larger than it should have. I seriously doubt all of these are student projects. Alright. So then you get back to basically the same situation where it's 49 cents is the lowest price. And you would pretty much have to then sort by, is this price below 75% and this price, the discount below 75% and this discount is low, and those would be the new things in this list to potentially look at, like Lords of Shadow 2 DLC here. I want to get, but yeah, I don't even think I would do anything with that. I just want to own it so I have a complete collection. So that would be $1.50 just to make myself happy mentally, and never even actually get back to playing the game. The Downfall soundtrack for 67 cents would be a hard choice. Didn't even know they had an icon there. And all this Warhammer stuff I'm just completely ignoring. Halo Spartan Strike for 74 cents. Halo Spartan Assault. I think these are side Halo games. A pinball game called Snowball for 74 cents. Hacker Evolution for that. More and more though, I'm skipping over pretty much every visual novel. There's no way in the next year I'm gonna have free time to play extra visual novels. Uno theme cards for $1, asking a lot there. And then like this game for $1 is probably not terrible. I think also what you would want to do is set your price. I don't think you want to pay more than $1 for something that's cheap just because it's cheap. So once it gets past that 99 cents mark, you have that mental barrier of just saying, well, this wasn't even really a game that was in the top tier of consideration. Yeah, I may very well end up ending this stream fairly quickly or fairly early just because I have more shopping to do and because it's Friday anyways. Now would be the time to skip some things. I guess if things aren't discounted though, in this case, like these Castle Crasher DLCs, I want to own all the DLC for Castle Crashers, but it's not discounted, so there's literally no reason to buy it now. Like that doesn't really make any sense. Well, same would be true for a game like Ludo Online. It's like if there's no discount, there's no motivation to spend money. Yeah, and at that point I'm now at $1.24, and I would not under that list in that order go through it. So now you sort by rank, and if you've maintained even a decent rank, which doesn't mean that things have to be great. Like, for instance, this game is not number 4 in my mind, but what I would do is if it's a high priority, I just type the number 1, and then it would put it at number 1, and then whatever else happened. You can also drag and drop these if you wanted to get a discrete sort going, but there's kind of no reason for that. So yeah, here you have like a 20% discount for Bob As You. I want to play Bob As You. $11.99 is a decent price. I want to play Phoenix Wright, but it's not discounted at all, so I don't think so. It's probably smart to get Sinrin Kagura games and even Leisure Suit Larry games before they disappear completely. I think Leisure Suit Larry is in a much better save spot than Sinrin Kagura games. Yeah. And some of these games may never historically have gone on sale. Halo Master Chief Collection, I should pull the trigger on that and just have it. Disney games, I should pull the trigger on that and just have it. They're highly unlikely to go on major discounts. At some point I want to play like Dead Rising 1. Black Mesa, high priority. Jill No Morta at $10, not a bad deal. Pedestrian at $10, maybe a little too expensive, so I'm going to skip that. Journey at $7.49. Darksiders Genesis at $14.99 is probably a little too expensive. Doom Eternal at $19.79, it's a little too expensive. My Switch Force Collection is probably a little too expensive at $10. Do I own Cat Quest 1? Resident Evil 3 at $20 is a little expensive. Heavy Rain at $10 is not bad. Beyond Two Souls is not bad. Spyro Trilogy at $13.99 is not bad. Spyro Reignited Trilogy. River City Girls at $20 is still way too expensive though. Halo Reach as DLC for $4.99. I don't know if that means you don't get Halo Reach otherwise. Persona 4 Golden. RetroArch theoretically still coming to Steam. Seems like they're not coming to Steam anytime soon. It was added 7/13/2019, and it seems like that's hit some problem. Atelier Ryza, I definitely would like to play it, but there's no discount at all. Same is true for The Legend of Bumbo. Shantae in the Seven Sirens, not a good discount. Command and Conquer Remastered Collection, decent discount. Do I want to play Cyberpunk for $40? No. Nier Automata, no discount. Octopath Travel, no real discount. Witcher 3 is in consideration. Do I have Injustice 1? Do I have Galgun 1? JJ Missing is probably never going to be below $10. Curse of the Moon for $4.99 is probably not bad, but then I still would want Ritual Night for $20, which is kind of expensive. Whereas the Devil May Cry HD Collection for $20 is like 3 games. So there's a argument for that. Let's come over here and start another game. Still trying to get those quick disconnects. I don't know if Attack on Titan has any relevancy, and it's not discounted anyways. Final Fantasy games, I don't think I'm going to pull the trigger and buy Final Fantasy games. Crash Bandicoot at $20 is still fairly expensive. Assassin's Creed Odyssey at $20 to start is too expensive.
Prepare for defeat.
Fallout 4 Season Pass for $20 is still a lot. But I was gifted Fallout 4 and I should play that game, so I might want to pull the trigger on that. Yeah, Fallout 4 actually sounds like a nice game to play after the after I finish all the Halloween stuff. Monster Hunter World for $20 is probably about the best you're gonna get. Killer 7 for $8 might be worth it. You can see most of these Fallout 4 add-ons are is Afterbirth Plus not the newest Binding of Isaac game? I guess it isn't. What is it called now? Repentance. Yeah, that's the newest one. So Galgun Double Piece. Stasis for $4.09. Maybe the best deal I would ever get on that. At some point I probably will get Infinite Factory, but I'd like to see it a little bit cheaper. A lot of these games, like The Girl and the Robot, though, honestly, this should probably be a $2.50 game, and it's $5. Same, I think, probably falls for like Resident Evil Raccoon City or Blades of Time. I don't think it's a particularly good game either. Rayman Origins. Here we have Injustice for $4.99. This game, Homesick, $5.09 is still fairly expensive for what it was. Tabletop Simulator always goes on sale for $10, but maybe it's finally time to pull the trigger on that. Akiba's Trip for $10 is probably the best you're gonna get for that price. Getting Shadow Complex on Steam instead of the Epic Store is not a high priority. Whereas I do want to play either Subnautica or Abzu. One of them. Mega Man Legacy Collection. Would be something I like to try. Fury for $6 is probably the best you're going to get on that. Legacy Collection 2. Nino Kuni 1. Do I have that? Because you probably aren't. Even Nino Kuni 2 here for $30 is probably the best you're going to get.
Precious life deserves a precious death.
Bridge Constructor Portals, fairly cheap. This game Nog for $2.99. It's not quite discounted enough. Yeah, I don't think I really want Cube 2 Season Pass for $12.59. That's just not discounted enough. I do want Carcassonne. And I do want Battle Chest, but boy, is that discount not high enough. There is also an argument. I think I have Darkest Dungeon, so I probably should just try to get the DLC. This may very well be a shopping trip mostly around simply owning, getting a lot of DLC that's missing in my collection. These games at 50% off are still probably not cheap enough. Like, it's a sad statement that a game that probably played for $0.25 originally, I don't think any arcade was less than $0.25 when they started, is not even worth $4.25 or $8.25 worth of plays. And the truth is that's accurate, because there is a very low chance that I would play this game more than 8 times. I'd probably just spotlight it, play very short experiences, and then just be happy to own it and move on with my life. Dishonored: Death of an Outsider. That's an interesting thought. Donut County is a decent price there. Dragon's Lair's not discounted enough. Dreamfall at some point. I want to get Hand of Fate 2. Hobbit, $10. A lot of times you really are just paying what is a reasonable price for a lot of games when you hit a Steam sale. Just getting it down to $10 compared to the normal price of everything being marked up far too high. So if I was going to get Resident Evil 7, then you also would have the Season Pass issue, certainly. Then Super Hot. I guess I don't own Super Hot. Interesting. I thought I did. And then the Baconing.
Let's defile the battlefield.
Let's see.
Let us come
Spiral Scouts for $2.49. That's a great deal.
the likes of us.
The path ends
I don't think I'm ever going to get around to owning Viscera Cleanup Detail. It's fallen out of relevancy enough that it would be very hard for me to justify buying it and playing it in single player mode. We could check out War for the Overworld and see if I already own it, or if these DLCs maybe would justify their high price. I doubt they would. I don't know if there's ever going to be any relevancy for Battlestar Galactica.
The world called, and I answered.
Should check that
Moment
out
All systems online.
just to see if another Observer, I think, has been replaced with different versions. Is this Fate Extello based on the Fate Stay Night series? Yes, it is. That still doesn't really make it relevant, though. Alright, so here's Dead Rising 1 for $5.99. I think I'd like to play that after playing Left 4 Dead. Here's a game for $2. That's a great discount. Phantom Brave PC for $2.99. Probably not a terrible idea. GTA 3. Yeah, I just don't think 1 or 2 actually plays on a computer anymore. Star Trek 25th anniversary, even though it's only 30% off, might be a decent thought, because I doubt these Star Trek games will ever really go discount at a higher discounts. At the very least, that would be something to investigate, to see if there has been. $2 for Journal. I've tried to buy that multiple times and it's just never really been cheap enough or made it in the final cut. And you can see we're at like 300 at this point. None of the Nancy Drews seem to be on sale, or at least the newest Nancy Drew games. Which these newer versions of Nancy Drew games better be way better than the spin-off series I played. Otherwise, that is a way overpricing. And like, probably wouldn't be worth it to get Dead Rising 2 or Off the Record, because Dead Rising 1 in itself would be a game that would take a lot of time.
The journey continues.
There, we got one quick disconnect. Now, the next thing would be to try and get 3 more. Far Cry 1, not a bad deal for $2.99. This Matahari game, I do want to play it, but it's mixed. I've kind of run out of point-and-click adventure games from the looks of it. I have some, certainly, but it doesn't feel like there's going to be a lot more coming out. Or there hasn't been a lot more added. I believe the Steam link at this point is not available for purchase anymore. Here we have another Star Trek game. I don't know if there's a real argument. Far Cry Primal definitely is one to consider. The Cat Lady music, I'd like to get it, but certainly I don't have extra budget for soundtracks at the moment. Finding Nemo, not a bad idea. Five Nights at Freddy's, I assume, will still be on sale, even though the creator seems to have been bullied off the internet. Not sure if Kitty Powers Matchmaker is ever going to, as a joke game, even at $4.99, is ever going to justify that price. It seems like that there really would have to be a 50 cents game to make sense to me. See, what else? Jade Empire Special Edition. Don't even recognize that. I didn't know Gary's Mod even cost money. Let's see. I think at this point too, I've probably hit more just the random games, and so the ranks at the bottom here are not relevant. It might make sense to get Fallout 1 and Fallout 2 Or that's actually Fallout Tactics. But yeah, I don't think that these games are specifically even things that I would have put high on the list. And at some point I do need to probably do a wishlist cleanup where I take a lot of these games and I either put them at the far bottom, which probably isn't really worth doing the way it sorts, or putting them higher up. Like South Park Stick of Truth for $7.49 probably should be higher than 480 as a listing. But yeah, Age of Empires 2 is not discounted. I think we'll just scroll down to 500. Oregon's Trail Director's Cut. And when we hit 500, that'll be my shopping. So considerably less, actually, as far as even first pass games. Like, so the thing to ask now, let's go back to Steam, and we had made it all of this far as the Forge of Fate. So let's click this and see what this says. It's time to Forge Your Fate, and that takes you to the Forge Your Fate page. And then there's like no more explanation as far as the summer sale. So is there anything, any motivation here at all to buy anything? I don't know. Alright, you do have trading cards of some sort still. And so if you look at your discovery queue, or 3 different discovery queues every day, you'll get 3 discovery cards. Which, okay, that's something. But otherwise, doesn't feel like there's, what is this? That's an adult game. It seems to me like there's no real motivation. We hit the bottom of the special created content, and yeah, not really seeing a lot of new games or anything interesting. And then if you just scroll down this way, it's going to cycle through horizontal and vertical and different ways to depict different games forever. And it will just constantly give you an infinite scroll. So, start this over. So I'm gonna just add a game to my cart, and then let's just see what happens here. So you have something discounted for 49 cents. Typewriter is in the cart. For every $10 you get a card. And that's pretty much it. Let's see. Let's just check the point shop. So you have the point shop here. And I'm seeing featured. Yeah, the point shop is just giving you kind of pointless things. I already have tons of points anyway, so I have no reason why I'd really want to buy any of this. This is where you get these like animated backgrounds, which at some point I may find something that I think looks really, really cool and get one of those, but the points otherwise have become completely useless, and anything you buy with point shops can't be sold, and there's no motivation to buy anything. Let's see. Yeah. There's no motivation at all to buy anything from the point shop either. So yeah, I am. This feels like a particularly weak a particularly weak sale. I just don't see a lot of reasons to buy anything. See, here we can see what my profile looks like. With the blackness, it does look slightly different. Oh, I wonder if I'm seeing it as blackness because I installed the plugin. That may very well be the case, because I did install like a color swap plugin, didn't I? So it could be that this is all bright blue, except for the fact that I installed a plugin. Let me see if that isn't even installed, that extension. Because I think I installed that and then
I have lost.
uninstalled it. I don't think I kept that one installed. Nope, I don't see a Chrome extension that would indicate. Jeez. The sad statement here is I'm getting more victories doing this than actually playing. No, I have to assume that Steam is just moving it to blackness, because yeah, I don't see any extension or anything like this. Yeah, time clickers. I haven't played that in a while. And see, I've got some people that are ranked at super high ranks as far as the level, that they don't really even care about the level, and I'm ranked at a super high rank as far as level. But as far as badges, I assume, let's see, how do you get to trading cards? Suppose you go here to badges. Yep. In progress. I guess they consider all of these in progress. Completed rarity. Booster pack eligibility. I could make booster packs and try and open them and finish some of these cards, or sell some of these cards. Yeah, I guess you won't even see the badge for the Steam sale until you make a purchase. So, yeah. So, yeah, I have to say that's a fairly weak sale. I think it is fair to say that Amazon.com has eaten the lunch of the summer Steam sale, and Valve certainly has allowed that to happen. Had I not just spent a ton of money on things that I had been meaning to get and do on Amazon Prime, then I could feel certainly different and say, oh yeah, I need to spend like $300 on the Steam sale, but I don't know if I'm gonna even spend $100. Really. Because there's just not a lot of motivation. I may just want to save up for a Black Friday type sale. Now that the Prime Day sale is done, I wouldn't be surprised if Amazon decides to try to have a second Prime Day in Black Friday and try to double up on it. If they don't do that, then Black Friday for me probably is not going to involve any purchases at all. Because Prime Day, Black Friday has been particularly bad for years now. And I highly doubt it's going to get any better. So there may be a fall Steam sale of some sort, something that happens in like October. There probably will be a small Steam sale in October, November, and December. But I imagine there will be one in October that's a little bit bigger. That very well might be the better point for me to target and think about buying games. So what I'm gonna do is look at my Twitter feed, and then I'm going to click on the news and talk about the news, and then we're gonna end this stream because yeah, nothing's really going on otherwise. And since it's a Friday, it would make a lot of sense to to end early on a Friday, save up for Monday. I should schedule some things over the weekend. I say that every weekend, and it's true every weekend, but I feel like probably by Monday I should be a little bit more back in the habit of playing games. Yeah. Seems like a crossplay update for Borderlands 3 has caused some stuttering or staggering issues, from what I can tell. Okay, spell boost. Do this. Do this. Do this.
Colds has come in every shade imaginable.
In the turn. Okay. So, Gamma Sutra has an article here. Focus Home Interactive boasts record year as it continues to accelerate its transformation.
All systems stand by.
Where am I?
You will think I'm so useless.
I'm there. Okay. Assassin's Creed Valhalla game director has departed Ubisoft for EA Motive. Eric Baptiste. How would you spell out Baptiste? That's an interesting last name. Yep. I wouldn't be surprised if we start to see a decent amount of people specifically leave Ubisoft with all its controversy. Envision.community.co, I have about 5 articles from them. I've moved them so that they are the last source of news. So, yeah. And one of them here is just that ASUS has announced a new router, Wi-Fi 6 router, which, okay. I think we will see that happen. No telling if this one's hackable or changeable, or if it even requires that. Like, at a certain point, if it comes out of the box with all the features you'd ever want, the hacking part is redundant. Let's see. A company, I guess, called Batora Lost Haven has joined Team 17. Or, no. The game is called Batora Lost Haven. It's from Stormmine Games, and so Team 17 is going to be publishing it. Did I mess with the zoom on these pages? Shouldn't have. I just zoomed in Steam's page. So the only websites that should have been affected, if any, would have been Steam. Yeah, Batora looks interesting. Human Fall Flat swings onto the PS5.
Systems stand by.
Now it's available today.
Oh, Mateo, all systems.
Pokemon the Trading Card Game celebrates collection.
Code FM.
Celebrations collection announced.
Ready. We're going full throttle.
It will showcase beloved characters from the Pokemon franchise, as well as popular card artwork and gameplay mechanics spanning the history. I guess the real question, though, is will these celebrations collections actually be like cards, or are they going to be something different, or are they going to be so incredibly expensive that they're not viable for most kids, I assume, who are playing Pokemon card game.
The path.
Spirit Lucky's Big Adventure is out now. I'd like to see some reviews on this. A Spirit themed game, which is a DreamWorks show, has a much higher chance of being good than just random girl games. Which, yeah, it's hard to find games that even slightly feel like they are trying to attract the female audience. Let's see. Envisioncommunity.co.uk has KFC Gaming launching the Arcade Showdown, which is a nostalgic arcade esports tournament. Interesting idea. So you have to assume that these are just emulators running games, and I don't know if KFC has gotten a license to each of these games to have tournaments like this. And certainly these arcade cabinets are going to get reskinned fairly quickly, unless they're going to put like that would be the weird thing, is that if KFC actually got the license to a bunch of old arcade games and put them on emulators in their restaurants, that would certainly be a throwback to the old way things would happen. There were often arcade cabinets in restaurants and little arcades in places, and that hasn't happened probably for decades, but it could be a way to bring people back to restaurants, particularly after the pandemic. But I'd really have to question it, though. There is something, even if you're not worried about the pandemic, if you're in a KFC touching greasy food, those consoles are going to be incredibly greasy. If you are worried about the pandemic, then touching consoles that other people are touching doesn't make a lot of sense. A lot of kids are not going to care about playing video games in arcade cabinets at all. there isn't a massive amount of wait or lingering that happens at KFCs generally anyways. It kind of feels like that would be something more of a McDonald's idea than a KFC idea. Gamma Sutra has an article. Tencent-owned Teamy Studio opens a new Seattle studio to create AAA games. They worked on games like Call of Duty Mobile and Honor of Kings. Doesn't seem like they are ready to talk about what AAA games they're really going to be working on. Windows 11 will bring Android apps to PC via the Amazon App Store, which to me seems like they either everything on the Amazon App Store can be recompiled to run on an x86 processor, which is unbelievable. That's not likely the case. Or Windows 11 is just going to by default have a emulator that works fairly well as far as Amazon Android games. And I definitely like that concept. I don't think the game I play more than anything else, Destiny Child, is which actually that should be running on my phone right now, and it isn't. I don't think that that's on the Amazon App Store. It might be. If it is, it's this censored version, which that would still be fine for this instance. But I don't know what I'd really do with that either. Like, or any Android game. It definitely opens up the possibility that I could then start covering mobile games and try and scale those games up and record them with OBS, but we still don't really have a significant number of games that are mobile games that deserve coverage or should be talked about. Moving on, Gamma Sutra says Zing Games needs a gameplay programmer. Nice little logo here. You have like a kid, it looks like, in a Mario outfit sitting on the toilet playing a Game Boy in pixel graphics. That's a lot of different ideas. Certainly. This is in Naperville, Illinois. Gamma Sutra has a article here, bending genres and breaking rules, and then there is no game wrong dimension, which I assume is a follow-up to There's No Game. It's kind of a review opinion piece. Gamma Sutra says EA's latest purchase of Golf Clash earned an estimated $133 million in the US over the past year, which I guess that means that the game Golf Clash made that much, and now the company that was acquired by EA.
I don't need a gun, not when I have my words.
I guess it doesn't mean anything there. It's two separate statements. A, this game made this much. Later, after that point, EA acquired that company. Moving on, the Finnish mobile studio Boom Corp nets $1.8 million to create social games. Gematsu has Guild of Darksteel launching July 15th, and the PS4 version is cancelled. Let's check out what this is. Looks like a JRPG game with slightly pixel graphics. No, more of a hack and slash platforming game. It feels a lot like the original Prince of Persia game in some of the movement. Yep, this looks interesting. A romance visual novel, Our Battle Has Just Begun. Episode 1 has been announced for the Switch and PC. I think we had already talked about this game. The Legend of Heroes Kuro no Kisekai details some new characters and an alignment system. Check that out if you're interested. Yep, just trickling of information about games. Still very standard method of operating.
Lightning storm.
Let's see.
Life's a gamble.
Konami launches a new football game online performance test for PS5, Xbox Series, PS4, and Xbox One. So
Try and stop me.
apparently you're going to help Konami, which who would want to do that in general, evaluate the quality of the game's online matchmaking service. And it's just a soccer game from the looks of it. Cotton Rock and Roll has been announced for PS4, Switch, and PC, and Arcade is due out December 23rd in Japan. Apparently this article's been updated to say pre-orders are now available in Japan. I saw that. Human Fall Flat now available for PS5. Kerbal Space Program Enhanced Edition is coming to PS5 and Xbox Series this fall, and Kerbal Space Program 2 has been confirmed for consoles. I assume that Kerbal Space Program for Steam is the only version and there isn't an enhanced edition, but I should double check. I already talked about Team 17 publishing Borta. The Cotton Reboot launches July 20th in the West. Which, okay. Guess we should check that video out while I jump in here. So, yeah. Bullet Hell side scroll shooter character. I imagine Cotton did it first before the other games that do side scroll shooting with the witches. And there probably is some severe historical relevancy to playing this. I just don't know if I could play this game.
The world calls.
What I would really want is not the original game experience solely, is I would want a cheat mode where you just cannot die and you could just play through the entire experience. Of course, I am very much not the target audience. Demon Slayer Kimetsu no Yabai is coming out October 15th in the West, which I would have assumed that was already the case, that it was coming out, but okay. Konami has announced a mystery simulation game called Crime Site for PC, which just looks interesting, but man, why all of a sudden is Konami making games? That's the real question. It seems very past the point of no return for Konami to say, oh, we're back in the games business. I suppose, though, it would make a lot of sense that Konami may have lost a lot of other business in their other business dealings due to the pandemic, and now they're trying to recoup. And this looks like an interesting experience. In all fairness, this looks like something I would kind of want to play. Seems like it's kind of a modernization on the idea of Clue. And then, yeah. It does look interesting. Crime Site is to be announced. Yeah, I was definitely thinking I'd just dismiss it completely, but I really can't do that It does look interesting. A game called Air for Switch launches September 9th in Japan. It's a key second ever visual novel following canon. Interesting. Famitsu has its updated sales for the 14th through the 20th. Which, yep, bunch of Nintendo Switch things. Yeah, I recently looked at all the Switch games that were of any real mention, and it's kind of surprising if you're just trying to get the top 10, how many of them have Mario in the name. It's just like Mario, 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 Mario. Maybe you have a Zelda, maybe you have a Splatoon, but that's pretty much it. Mario and Mario. And it pretty much highlights an issue where Mario games need a different brand, but they can't get a different brand. Like Mario Party really doesn't center around Mario. So it should be like the Mario Crew or something. Mario's Pals. Because at this point, Luigi, Peach, Daisy, Yoshi, all those characters deserve to be top billed as much as Mario. Like, Mario Odyssey makes sense because you play as Mario. Mario Party doesn't really make sense. Moving on, Gametsu says Muv-Luv Alternative Total Eclipse is coming to the West this winter for PC. I believe this is a visual novel. Yep. It did seem like during the summer sale there was a decent number of adult games from Manga Gamer on sale on Steam, and just like, I imagine if I was to just look for visual novels and things on sale, you could probably find a decent amount if that's what you're desperately looking to purchase this sale. The Legends of Nayuta Boundless Trails is coming to the West in 2023 for PS4, Switch, and PC. Let's see, do we have a trailer to see what kind of JRPG I assume this is? And it looks like it's mostly going to be a teaser trailer, and it might actually be a platformer, 2.5D platformer. Yeah, they're tagging it as a RPG game. Legend of Heroes Trails to Azure is coming to the West in 2023 for PS4, Switch, and PC. So they're pretty much going to try and bring all of them, I think, to the West. Which makes a lot of sense. Now kind of is the time for Japanese games to make their way over. Again, an RPG game. Looks like it's a chibi 3D RPG game. As there is a general slowdown, that creates a vacuum where more games that normally wouldn't make it to the West should make it to the West. Like Gamatsu says, Fatal 12 for the Switch launches July 12th. Is this the one where, like, one person murders you out of 12 every time? Or, nope. Or 12 people die? Yeah, I think I've heard about this, but I can't even really explain the story. You have to figure out the sequence of events through basically a visual novel to break a cycle of death of some sort, involving 12 people, which is a lot even for a visual novel. Moving on, Square Enix announces Deep Insanity cross-media project, including Deep Insanity Asylum for PC, iOS, and Android, which this is the first we've heard of anything called Deep Insanity. cross-media projects are probably the way of the future, unfortunately, where we're going to see animes made and games made, and none of it's going to be particularly great, and none of it's going to feel like there's an actual director or producer behind it, and it's just going to all be made by community because everything has to succeed because there's too much money invested in the whole project, and the project has to succeed. Gametsu says Demon Gaze Extra has its opening movie in screenshots, which I don't recognize a game called Demon Gaze. It's tagged as an RPG. I assume Demon Gaze Extra is a remake or remodel of it. Looks like it might be just a dungeon crawler game from this teaser trailer. Looks like you're gonna get some cleavage and fight demons. Or every character is gonna have a demon eye, demon gaze that they can activate. The extra certainly throwing me for a loop there. Gametsu has a previously unfinished full motion video game called American Hero coming to consoles and PC this summer. Which, just look at that trailer. From Ziggurat Interactive. So this is like an old game that was unfinished. And seemingly this may have been unfinished because it was too mature for the time. I mean, if in the trailer we've seen two bikini clad ladies. And then Gametsu has Earth Defense Force 6 second trailer and 13 minutes of gameplay. I don't want to watch 13 minutes of gameplay. I will look at the second trailer that is 7 minutes. Just what I'm trying to see here more than anything is what is the level of animation and in the characters. Is Earth Defense 6 going to finally be the Earth Defense game that from what I hear actually could play well compared to from what I hear all the other games don't play well or look that good. This does look fine. It doesn't look terrible. That was a terrible sentence I just said. What I meant to imply there is I hope Earth Defense 6, Earth Defense Forces 6 plays well, because from what I've heard but not confirmed myself is that the other games do not play well. That was my intention. Right. Trying to zoom in a page and my whole computer is taking forever to react. Yep. I did open up a whole bunch of fall list cleanup tabs. So I did take up like 30% of my like massive 64 gigabytes of RAM on that. So opening a whole bunch of pages after that point to shop, I wouldn't be surprised if that took another 10%. of it. I guess I'll have to leave all the news articles because they're past the point I can see. Gamma Sutra has an article. Bemused Pokemon Go players petition Niantic to make the pandemic tweets permanent because they want it to be accessible and safe in the long term. Also, I just don't think Pokemon Go as a game really worked the way it was originally implemented anyways for a lot of people, and the tweaks to make it more playable inside and in a single location are appreciated by the players that are still playing it. Let's see, and we're just not gonna look at any of these games. Gamma Sutra has an article here, Academia and the Black Experience in Games with Professor Lindsay Grace, which it'd be nice if professors ever, anywhere, had anything, had real expertise they could speak on. Unfortunately, the truth of it is, I don't think that they often do. I think they are those who can't teach is the old adage. Let's see, Gamma Sutra has a job listing here. Xbox Gaming Studio is hiring a rendering engineer, which I guess highlights that in 2Cross UK somebody is working on something that they want to improve the rendering on. See, Open Critic has an article here. These Australian brothers want to turn your Xbox Series S into a laptop. Which, okay. Not a bad idea, but the Series S is a fairly large device, so they've had to add a battery pack in the back and other hardware and mount an Xbox Series S in such a way that the cooling fan still works, and put a screen on it. Let's see. Yep. I've definitely seen these kinds of modifications before, or similar ones. Gamma Sutra has an article. VR Chat scoops up $80 million in funding with the help from Anthos Capital. Just waiting to see what happens here. This guy's probably not playing either, so if I decided to just start attacking him, I probably could win fairly easily. Gamma Sutra has an article. Everybody but game developers can earn more on Microsoft stores starting July 28th. It allows store developers to keep 100% of the revenue from payments made via their own or third-party systems, but it won't apply to video games. Interesting. Which I guess really goes to show that all the sales all the money is in video games and nothing else. Let's do this.
Into the future is only the beginning.
Okay.
Quartzes come in every shade imaginable. Quartzes come in every shade imaginable.
The world cycles on.
Let's see.
Try calculations set. Ready to summon.
Right, so this guy wasn't paying attention, and because he wasn't paying attention, I was able to jump in and win in a sneaky way after not playing. Which that's always the danger of going AFK, or certainly.
The journey continues.
Let's see, at this point all I would need would be one Shadowcraft and I'll have all of the daily done also. Is this Shadowcraft? I think this is Shadowcraft. Yes it is. Let's see, Gemetzer has King of Fighters 15 Vanessa trailer and screenshots. I feel like we had already kind of seen this, but maybe this is
Let the duel
a different character. Yep, this is a different character. I guess there's just a couple of Final Fantasy characters that look somewhat similar. They definitely had two female characters that they highlighted that I recall in a row. Maybe that's not really the case. Maybe I'm just biased and don't remember the male characters. If I could get a quick disconnect here, that would be great. YouTube has a first ever YouTube Small Biz Day on June 24th. I don't know how they can really promote small businesses. I mean, every single YouTuber is a small business that isn't part of some major big business, which most of the successful YouTubers are secretly part of, like Rooster Teeth or something like that, which is bigger business. The only thing I could think that they really mean is that they want to promote and highlight people who run a business, a small business, and run a YouTube channel, which I've been watching, like a plumber and electrician that are teaching tricks of their trade while also running their small business, and it's not a terrible thought, certainly. And with that article, we are pretty much done, so I'm just gonna look and see if there's any new bit of news that's come out. And if there hasn't been any new bit of news, then this will be our last game. I have too many games open, so I should we should go through some of the games that came out today, but we may very well not. I may very well just stop the second this game ends, so if we get a concession, which I keep calling them quick disconnects, but in reality it would be concessions that are happening. If we get a quick concession, great. If we don't, then
Are you in need of medicine?
then we'll call it a day. The ESA Foundation has announced scholarship classes for 2021-22, which
Seek what is not there.
is called the Foundation Scholarship Class,
Open wide.
which probably means they've picked people who they've given a scholarship to, and they're calling that a class because of the year. It is kind of funny that a class is called a class, because that really isn't the right word in my mind.
You look kinda haunted. No, literally.
Open wide.
It should be something like annual series. Something like that. But I guess at the core of it, class means classification, and so anything that can be classified should be, could be referred to as a class. Let's do this. And then do this.
Prepare yourself.
Awaken, for you've been chosen.
Here,
Aren't you
Here.
popular?
here,
Open wide.
and there. Yeah, and so we can just win.
Popular.
And I am utterly shocked, but somehow we have gotten all the daily quests done today.
Oh, let's do
That
again.
is just insane. That I've not been playing at all today, really. I've been looking at the Steam sale, which I now need to spend time on. But somehow I've gotten every single mission done, and new missions won't even start for 20 hours. We missed this registration. We've done a terrible job as far as this treasure trove, which this would have been a great time to not miss registrations on these. And then arena wise, we failed miserably to actually get anywhere in the arena, but whatever. We probably weren't going to get anywhere in that either. Alright, so there's nothing more that we really need to talk about. Monday we'll probably have a lot of games. I might even do some curation over the weekend if I get really bored, but I doubt it. That's going to be it for this stream. As always, I ask you to like, share, subscribe, comment, and watch every second of my videos. If you want a friend or follow me on any social media sites, there's a whole bunch of links down below. And if you want to support me further, there's a link to Patreon, or you can friend me on Steam and get me a game off my wishlist. Thank you for watching. Have a good evening.